We've all been there, using a slate or just clapping our hands so we have a sync point to match up our audio files to our shots after a long day of shooting. But if you've ever done that, in post, you know it's time-consuming, it's boring, and sometimes it may not look right even though the waveforms are telling us that it is. Thankfully, there's a better way to sync audio. Every file you record, whether video or audio, has timecode as a part of its metadata. It basically says when that piece of data was recorded. Every camera, audio recorder, and computer has an internal clock to stamp timecode onto whatever file they're writing. But because nothing is perfect, they all run at ever so slightly different speeds, or simply, they may not be set to the correct time. In order to get all of your separate recordings to match up perfectly when you go to synchronize and post, you need a master clock that can talk to all of your separate devices and tell them what time it is. So okay, we understand the theory, but how do we solve this in the real world? Thankfully, it's actually rather simple, and if you've not heard of or used these little gadgets before, I'm about to blow your mind. Simply put, timecode generators are the best way to eliminate guesswork and fiddling with synchronization in post. And while it's old news to some, I have a little friend that some of you really need to hear about. This is the Tentacle Sync E. Now, full disclosure, I did speak with the people at Tentacle Sync to get some empty bodies that have no electronics in them so I could ruin them for my opening sequence, and I did get a hat and a little tote bag from them, but they don't have any say in what I say in this review. They don't get to review it, and they did not pay me in any way. All of the products that I use on set, I bought with my own money, and these are all my opinions. The Tentacle Sync E system is one of the most cost-effective timecode systems on the market, at least that I've found. It's the second generation of timecode generators from Tentacle Sync. At $399 for a 2-tentacle system, you can sync a single camera and external audio recorder, control timecode from your phone, and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with a ridiculously long battery life. And in a refreshing turn from most film industry products, you actually get most of what you need in the box. And here we are. This is something I'm so excited about because the Tentacle Sync is basically going to let me do something that I've dreamed about since 2015, but I've never had the gear to do. So this is the standard set. It comes with 2 Tentacle Syncs, and if we flip it on this side, you can see kind of the stuff that comes in the box, but that's not nearly as much fun as just opening it. So that's what we're going to do. If you open it up in here, get this nice little card that says we want to say thank you. Up here at the top, little QR code to how to get the most out of everything. And this is also your 2-year warranty card. I'm covering up my serial numbers and stuff there. And then you also get a quick start guide on this little card. And yep, it's got all the instructions you'll need to get going. And if we pick this card up out of the way, a little bit of contact info, and then the little guys that make it all possible. These are the Tentacle Syncs, and they're about the size of a Tic Tac case. So on the front it says Tentacle Sync, then you've got your USB-C interface for charging and connecting to computers and stuff like that, and then on the bottom you've got your 3.5 millimeter input that will let you send timecode out or accept timecode in, and then your LEDs that let you keep track of your status. So both of those have the same thing. And then on the back, you actually have this built-in hook and loop surface here that you can use to attach this to anything. And here's the accessories. So you can pull this out, and it comes with this nice pouch here. And then you get your USB Type A to Type C cables right there for charging and interfacing. And then you get some accessories. These little clips will lock onto the top of the Tentacle Sync to keep your cords plugged in. And you've got your Velcro stickies and a couple of different colored bands. And then here you have your 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter cables. Now, it's not to say you get everything you could ever want in the box. For my purposes, I didn't want to use the mic jack on my cinema camera when there's a perfectly good timecode port with a BNC connector right there. So I purchased a right angle timecode cable and a straight one, which cost $27 and $21 respectively. Each tentacle has a built-in timecode generator that shouldn't drift for at least 24 hours of continuous use from when you sync them. And 24 hours is not some ridiculous, unreachable thing. Each tentacle has a built-in battery that lasts for up to 35 hours on a single charge. If you do manage to run the thing down to completely dead, a full recharge will only take an hour and a half. And as an added bonus, if you use this thing for a few years and the battery starts to go out on you, you can order a user replaceable battery kit for under $20 and make it work just like brand new. The Tentacle weighs only 30 grams, which is somewhere in the range of 30 paper clips. It has a built-in scratch microphone, a USB-C charging and data port, and support for multiple frame rates. And a nice touch is the included clip that holds the cable into the Tentacle so you can't accidentally yank it out and lose timecode in the middle of your shoot. There's only one switch on the whole device, so any and all system management is done through the app on iOS and Android or on the desktop software. When in the app, if you hold a tentacle close to the phone, the app will highlight which tentacle box it is. You can see basic battery level and signal strength readouts in the main menu, as well as all of the devices that you have synchronized. In this screen, you'll also see a warning if a cable comes unplugged from the tentacle, but it will only warn you if it's the end that touches the device. If your camera comes unplugged on the other end, it's on you to notice. So I definitely recommend getting a locking BNC cable if your camera supports it. You can tap on a tentacle to see its settings. Here, you have a more detailed look at battery level, and you can adjust your output volume. Mic level is for DSLRs, line level is for timecode ports on cinema cameras and pro level cameras. You can also see and set your frame rate and your auto power off time. Now, this power off time is only for when there's no cable plugged into the box, so it's not just sitting there alone and sad with no one to talk to. Then you've got user bits, which enables you to embed date information into the recorded metadata on your files. By default, this is set to day, month, year, but you can adjust that to your liking. The last option here is wireless master sync, which lets you set a specific tentacle as a master for the other tentacles. Now, this is useful for a particular scenario, which I'll show you in a minute. You can also view firmware info and serial number info. You can't actually update the firmware from the app. You have to use the Tentacle Sync desktop setup for that, but that's really my only complaint about the app as it stands now. All right, so let's go over some of the different ways you can get your tentacles into sync. The easiest way is to set these devices up via Bluetooth on your phone. First, you'll want to turn them on using the switch on the side. It's important to note that you can boot into two different modes, red mode and green mode. In red mode, which you boot into by holding the power button for less than 3 seconds, the Tentacle Sync is waiting for timecode to be sent into it and is not outputting timecode. In green mode, which you reach by holding the power switch for 3 seconds or more, the tentacle will start sending timecode out. When syncing with the app, it doesn't really matter which mode you boot to, but I tend to boot into green mode. The Tentacle uses Bluetooth to synchronize, but you don't have to pair with Bluetooth in your phone's settings with these. Simply open the app, tap Add Devices, and select the ones you want to add. Bring the tentacle up close, and it syncs up. Back in the main menu, you should have a list of all of your tentacles and a warning that things aren't in sync. So just tap Sync at the bottom, double check your frame rate, and synchronized. You only have to add devices one time, so after that, all setups are just turning the tentacles on, hitting sync in the app, and going about your day. Now, alternately, you could utilize the timecode generator of something like a Sound Devices MixPre 6.2 as your master clock. Just run the tentacle in red mode and send timecode out from your recorder or master clock until the tentacle flashes green. Then select Wireless Master Sync in the device's settings in the app and sync like normal to make all your other tentacles sync up to that timecode that the original tentacle received from your recorder. Now, since there's no buttons on here, you'd be forgiven for thinking that if your phone is dead or you don't have it on you, you're screwed. But if your phone is dead, don't worry. You can still get consistent timecode across all of your recordings, even if you can't update the real-time clock in the tentacle. Start one tentacle in green mode, and the others you want to sync it to in red mode. Run a 3.5mm cable from your green tentacle to your red tentacle, and wait until the red flashing turns to green. This is called jamming, where you tell each of your generators what time it is right this second. Then you can take those tentacles to your devices and know that they'll stay in sync for 24 hours. However you do your initial setup, use is the same on all your other devices. Plug your tentacles into the timecode or mic port on your camera and audio recorder, set your devices to accept timecode, and there's different stats for different devices, so check your camera or audio recorder user manual, and then you can either jam or just let the tentacles run. All of the things we talked about so far have been how to get the metadata of timecode into our cameras and audio recorders. But now we need to show you exactly why it's so important to do that. We're going to use Tentacle Sync software that they have included with the Tentacles themselves, and we're going to take an entire day's worth of shooting and synchronize it like that. Let's jump into it. So here on the computer, I've got a Syncing Tentacles project already opened up in Final Cut, and I'm going to go to Import Media, and this is media from an actual shoot that we did for a client. So we had 2 cameras shooting all day. So we have our A cam, we have our B cam, and we have our audio, and all of these different files were recorded on different devices. So none of them ever talked to each other throughout the day. So we're going to go ahead and import those. Now that everything's imported into Final Cut, we can take a look at what the normal synchronization process would be like. So what I used to do is I would find a video file, scroll down, find the corresponding audio file, which sometimes would mean I'd have to listen to both of them and make sure it was the right thing. And then I would right-click, synchronize clips, tell it to use audio for synchronization, because we did that clap at the beginning of the take, and then hit OK. And then I would go through and do that for take after take after take after take, and it would take forever. So what we're going to do instead is use Tentacle Sync Studio, which is the software that comes with your Tentacle Syncs when you buy them, and synchronize all of this with just a couple of clicks. So we'll just open up Tentacle Sync Studio, and you can see, real simple interface, drop your files here. We're going to go ahead and open up our Tentacle example. We'll grab our A cam, B cam, and audio, and we're just going to drag and drop that in here. And now it's going to analyze the files, and it's going to look for timecode on all of them. You'll see there's file TC and audio TC. If you're shooting on something that has a BNC style connector for you to run timecode into, then you'll have file TC. But if you're shooting on something like a DSLR, you'll have audio TC, because it's actually going to read the audio from the left channel of the device you recorded it on. But we were shooting on cinema cameras, so we have all file TC here. But you can see it's read all of them. It's showing the frame rate, all of that stuff. Now, it already has read this and synced it. So if I click on the sync map here, you'll be able to see it's already gone through and synchronized all of these files. A quick thing we need to note, if you are running this on Mac OS, you need to make sure that your MXF importer is set to the Apple Pro Video formats. The Tentacle MXF importer, for whatever reason, I don't understand it, I just know it to be true, does not read the time code if you're on Mac OS. So be careful of that. In here, you can also make sure that when it synchronizes the clips will be named by either your video name, your audio name, or both in different orientations, and you can hit done. Back here in the main menu, you can see we also have multicam mode. So if you were running multiple cameras at the same time, like we were with this shoot, you can tell it to not just create synchronized clips, but to create multicam clips of things that were all recorded at the same time. All we have to do now is get this out of Tentacle Sync Studio and into Final Cut. So it's real easy. All we're going to do is go up here and click on XML Export. And if you're not familiar with XML, it's basically a table that it creates that allows different software to read the same library of assets. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this Cooking Demo Synced, and then we will make sure that our project frame rate and our video format and all that stuff is correct. We're going to include synced clips, and we're going to tell it to open in Final Cut Pro 10. So I'm going to hit save, and then it's going to come up and ask me, where do you want to save this, this XML? So we're going to click on Syncing Tentacles or whatever project you're working in, hit choose, and it's going to import everything and create a new event over on the left side here. And so here you can see all of our video has been synced to our audio from our sound devices MixPre 6.
You have on hand, and you can customize it to each member of your family.
Easy as that. And if we scroll down in here, you'll be able to see at the end of this little selection of all of those synchronized clips, it's also created a multicam. And so if we open this multicam, we'll be able to see here is everything laid out for the whole day, ready to go for us. And this is the magic of timecode. Rather than things being tedious and frustrating for me to go through and sort through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clips, I can just let the computer do all the work and then get into the actual process of editing in a creative manner. I've got a few random thoughts to share here, so I'll just run through them real quickly. The built-in Velcro on the device is a great touch, especially because it comes with sticky Velcro pads that you can stick to anything you want to put your tentacle on. If you're using the Tentacle Sync with a DSLR, it's good to note that it will send timecode to the left channel and scratch audio from the Tentacle's built-in mic to the right channel, so you have reference audio. If you're not getting clean audio from the scratch mic and it's blowing out, or it looks like timecode is being sent to both channels, make sure you switch that Tentacle's output volume to mic. For timecode ports with a BNC connector like you'd see on a cinema camera, your Tentacle needs to be sent out line level. So if you're not getting timecode at all on your camera, that may be the issue. Other than that, despite having ridiculously long battery life and basically being mostly battery from what I understand, it's really light and it makes no difference in how heavy my camera feels to carry around, which is always appreciated. Now, some other timecode boxes on the market, like those sold by Tentacle, have displays built into the boxes to show you timecode, but I kind of prefer keeping the longer battery life, especially since these things are pretty much just set and forget until you turn things off. Other boxes also don't come with the software to sync a full day of takes, so that's a bonus. Timecode has changed my life. Post-production syncing on a dual system audio shoot isn't just cut in half, it's cut almost entirely. The Tentacle Sync E has proven itself to be reliable in all of my shoots and on lots of other people's sets. It's compatible with everything from a Canon T3i to a Denicky timecode slate, and it's easy to set up whether you're a pro or an amateur. If you're not already working with timecode generators, you are costing yourself a lot of time, and I recommend you give it a go right now. Personally, I give the Tentacle Sync E system 2 thumbs up, a 5 out of 5, and a gold sticker. Honestly, I don't ever want to shoot without it again. Hey, thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found any of the information in this review useful, please hit like or leave a comment to let us know that we helped you out. And if you love this kind of stuff as much as we do, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell and you'll be the first to know when we make new videos. We'll see you on the next one.